Flower Empress was now before Hansen and in a flirtatious manner said, "The king, you fought against the king of truth unfairly. You took advantage of being allowed to attack first. If we battle, do you mind if I attack first?" Hansen observed her intently. She looked very small and very pretty, and she also smelled like flowers. She was an attractive spirit, that was for sure. "How about I do you one better? You can punch me 10 times. Hansen smiled. Such a gentleman. All of the spirits froze in place. If the king was willing to accept 10 of her punches, it wouldn't matter how strong he was. 10 of those would surely lead to his defeat. Hansen squinted and said, "How about I let you punch me 10 times, and if I die, it will be deserved. If I am indeed still alive, then each punch must equate to 1 kiss. How does that sound?" After that, Flower Empress's face turned red. The audience was listening to their conversation intently and began to get rowdy with excitement for Hansen's cheeky suggestion. "No!" The King of Day's face dropped like a sack of rocks, and he shouted from the top of his lungs. Hansen knew there was something between them, judging from the way he had followed her. Hansen wasn't being flirty with her, though. As a matter of fact, she didn't interest him in the least. What he wanted to do most was provoke the King of Day to fight him for kissing his most wanted girl. "I'd be willing to accept 100 punches." Flower Empress's eyes brightened and she gasped, "Really? I can hit you 100 times first. I am many things, but a liar I am not. If you do indeed agree to this, then yes, I'll let you punch me 100 times." The King of Day was worried about Hansen taking advantage of Flower Empress, but now that the king had asked her to punch him 100 times first, he wasn't even sure what to think. A few flower stamps is all it will take to destroy him. How ignorant, the King of Day thought. Flower Empress stepped closer to Hansen, trepidatiously. When she was within arm's reach, he still hadn't moved an inch. He really was going to let her hit him. "Your arrogance will soon take flight, making way for the tears that are to follow," Flower Empress said to herself. The flowery light did not blow up against Hansen. Instead, it left a stamp on him. "Remember, I get 100 punches, so you stay still now." She was afraid Hansen would regret his decision from earlier, so she made sure to cast Flower Stamp on him before anything else. Hansen's body was instantly covered in flowers, almost buried beneath the mountain of blooms. Flower Stamp, despite the grievances it could cause, was a beautiful skill. The force dealt to the recipient of the skill was equivalent to that of a train. Even the spirits that were looking on almost felt the power of such a wretched attack. Flower Empress then proceeded to hit Hansen 37 times. She smiled and said, "Are you sure you want this to go on, Kingy? I have only hit you 37 times. Hansen's face looked dim, as if he was struggling to withstand the initial weight of the flowers and subsequent blows. But Hansen then smiled and said, "You hit like a girl. Fine, I'll give you a real taste of what I'm capable of. We'll see how much longer you can remain so cocky." Flower Empress could see the exhaustion creeping onto Hansen's face, so she was more than happy to apply more hits. As more hits were thrown, more flowers mounted on him. "I'm really not sure how much longer he can go on," a spirit said, one who understood the power of Flower Stamp. "The king is an interesting man. He seems more likely to die by the weight of flowers than anything else." "I don't think Flower Empress cares too much, though. Either way, she's just happy she has this opportunity to beat him," another spirit said. "Something is wrong." Heavenly Empress frowned, but it was too late to warn Flower Empress. Flower Empress had only one thing in mind, and that was bringing the king down. She had not kept track of how many times she had attacked. She believed she would not have to count how many times she attacked, as it'd be over quickly. But this soon proved untrue, because Hansen was refusing to submit and fall. Every time she attacked, all the spirits thought he was on the precipice of falling over, and all Hansen would need was one more nudge. Just as Flower Empress was about to attack once more, Hansen shouted. She relented. "What? Do you concede? You've delivered your 100th, Hansen said. "I ran out." Flower Empress gasped, and her mind quickly raced to recall and count how many punches she had thrown. He wasn't kidding. Her flower stamp had not been able to fell Hansen, and she could not believe it. Flower Empress turned to stone. Seeing the flowers cast to the sky like so, she was frozen. Her power was not effective on him. "It's my turn now, so prepare yourself." Hansen raised his fist, and a holy light gathered within and without. Flower Empress looked almost pitiful, and she quietly pleaded, "Please be gentle." After that, Flower Empress closed her eyes and awaited her end. With how delicate she looked, facing death, it was not hard to feel sympathy for her. Tears ran along her long eyelashes and dropped to the embrace of her cheeks. No man should have been able to willingly destroy such a woman. Hansen punched her without remorse as blood and flowers exploded in the air like fireworks. A pink petal descended to enter Hansen's body. Kingwood Gene +1, 4th rank achieved. Every spirit in the audience froze, seeing this. They never expected the king to so callously destroy her, without hesitation. "The king, I'm not done with you. Only one of us will survive." Flower Empress respawned, and she fumed with a rage no one had thought possible from such a delicate-looking person. She had made herself look so weak, hoping to gain mercy. And yet, Hansen had not been swayed. He killed her and humiliated her in front of everyone. "You're right, we're not done. You owe me 100 kisses, remember?" Hansen coldly replied. Flower Empress, in her rage, had forgotten about the bet. She had never regretted something so much in her entire life. Flower Empress's face was red, and she did not know what to do. She couldn't leave, and she couldn't kiss him 100 times in front of all the spirits that looked on. It's time for a tongue lashing. After Hansen said this, he dove into her tasty lips. Flower Empress could not resist, and she softened inside Hansen's arms. I'm going to kill you. The King of Day could no longer hold his tongue, so he ran forward. Turning into a sun along the way, he rushed towards Hansen. Boom! Hansen continued to hold Flower Empress with one arm, as his other arm quickly reached out and punched the flailing madman. The sun of his new composure shattered into pieces like frail glass. King Fire Gene Puss 1, rank unchanged. I'll accept this kiss for now. Just remember, you owe me 99 more. I'll come back to collect at another time. There were a lot of powerful creatures populating the knotted expanse of Thorn Forest, creatures Hansen was currently unable to beat. Even if Hansen could use his Super King Spirit mode for a long time, to kill creatures with 6 or more gene locks active would be incredibly difficult. I should put my skates on and hurry to open my second gene lock. I should do that, and at the same time max out my basic and primitive Geno points. My fitness level should be high enough for me to open the third gene lock then. Hansen contemplated his next move. As Hansen was lost in thought, a flaming blade suddenly appeared and exploded near him. How was that? Is my S-Class Hyper Geno art cool, or is it cool? Ming smiled smugly as a fire hovered above the palm of his hand. It's not bad, Hansen nodded. What element is your Hyper Geno art? Can you show me? Ming asked Hansen politely. My Hyper Geno arts don't have a specific element tied to them. I can do whatever I wish, Hansen answered. Really? Ming didn't believe it. Ming rolled his eyes and said, then show me how you might cast Flaming Blade. Oh, that's easy. Give me the details on how to learn it. Hansen smiled. Ming explained to Hansen how he could learn Flaming Blade, but said, it's useless to tell you though. I don't have any more of the Geno solution. I don't need it. Hansen followed the instructions he was given, and he felt a fire come to life in his hand. Hansen waved his hand, and a meter-long flaming blade manifested a short distance from him and flew out in the direction he desired. It hit the bone of a giant skeleton, which made it collapse amidst a fiery explosion. How is that possible? Ming's eyes were open wide. Hansen knew his flaming blade would be stronger than Ming's, as he had maxed out his Squire class, Knight class, and Royal class Fire Spirit Geno points. He had also earned the King class Fire Spirit Geno point from the King of Day. His practice of fire would far exceed the capabilities of ordinary people. Spirit genes enabled a new talent. The more spirit genes a person could get, the more Hyper Geno arts they could learn. This was especially effective with elementally based Hyper Geno art. If you had many spirit genes, you would not even need the Geno solution to adopt them. Humans had known about this for a long time, but most people had to work in the employ of spirits to earn a measly sum of them. They weren't half as easy to come by as they were for Hansen. Do you focus on the fire element, or did you secretly learn how to use Flaming Blade before? Or maybe, just maybe, you have already opened your second gene lock without telling us? Ming inquired, struggling to wrap his mind around how Hansen could have only just learned Flaming Blade and become so dexterous with the skill. Hansen shrugged his shoulders and said, yes, I knew it. So, you've managed to open your second gene lock. It looks like I'm falling behind here. I should try and keep up and open my second gene lock too. Hansen hadn't actually opened his second gene lock, but this entire happening reminded him that his strongest element was that of thunder. Aside from Royal and Spirit King Geno points, he was maxed out with thunder. Hansen's Dongshuan Sutra was almost at the second tier, and all it took was a few more days of practice to feel as if his cells were about to break. He felt relaxed. Finally, I have opened the second gene lock. Hansen was very hyped, and so he quickly went to cast it. Dongshuan Aura's field of view was 10 times wider, and his senses had gotten much stronger as well. Also, the Dongshuan Aura now seemed to be able to affect the life forces of others. There was no one he could test it on now, so he wasn't entirely sure what he could do with the new feature. It was a shame too, because Hansen really wanted to know the effects of what it did. The next day, Hansen exited the tree in the early morning. Dismayingly, he was greeted with the sight of massive thorny vines that were all tangled together like bushes. Connected all together, they looked like mountains. It seemed as if the shelter had decided to move deeper into the forest. But then, Hansen's eyes opened wide and he saw something move in Thorn Forest. Like usual, he was unable to see any living creature. But a good distance away, he noticed the presence of a clearing, and in this clearing, a single giant vine was growing. And hanging from off of it was a golden fruit. Undoubtedly, it was something quite special. The vine's height was approximately 50 meters tall. Beside it rested a wyvern. Hansen had detected a large life force coming from the fruit on the vine, but he had also detected a large life force coming from the wyvern. If he had to estimate, he'd have guessed it was at least a sacred blood creature. My dagger is too short for me to slay a 40-meter tall wyvern. There's no use trying to stab him, and and I'd have better luck trying to tickle it to death. Hansen observed the fruit and the vine and continued thinking, but stealing that should be no problem. The fruit generated a golden mist, and it looked as if it would still take a while for it to mature. Unfortunately, the shelter would only be around for the day, so Hansen could not wait for that. He instead planned on using his black crystal to drain the vine and fruit of their energy. Hansen activated his Dongshuan aura and used it to observe both the wyvern and the vine. He was able to feel the life force clearly, unlike ever before. He could even alter his own life force signature and flow. The extent of this ability was still fairly short, however. He could not control the life force of the wyvern either, so there was nothing he could do there. Hansen thought although it wasn't effective, he could erase the signature of his life force so the dragon could not sense him. Hansen tried it out and it worked. It didn't hamper or hinder his life force in any way, but it made others unable to detect it. He was afraid of waking up the wyvern, but now he knew he had nothing to worry about. This is perfect for assassination. Hansen was amazed at his newfound ability, but he had no time to lose. Quickly, he went behind the vine. He was afraid of waking the wyvern, so he didn't take the fruit. If he did, it might have roused the wyvern, and it'd be extremely difficult for him to absorb the life of the vine and avoid being its breakfast at the same time. If Hansen erased the life force signature of the fruit, the wyvern was sure to recognize it was gone and that something was amiss too. It'd wake up in a foul mood then, as well. Activating his black crystal, Hansen placed his hand on the vine and absorbed its life force like mad. Without the life force, it aged rapidly. The wyvern, noticing this, woke up. It opened its eyes and looked at the vine. The wyvern then stared at Hansen. "Oh, hello there. Did you enjoy your nap?" 2 seconds later, it snapped out of its post-sleep daze and roared madly. Like a geyser, lava was fired out of its mouth in Hansen's direction. It had acknowledged what was going on, and it wasn't keen on letting the meddler who robbed him of his plant the chance to live. When Hansen saw the lava head his way, he had no choice but to turn around and run, even though there was much still left to absorb. The cascade of lava was incredibly frightening, and it made Hansen wonder how many gene locks the wyvern had opened. Sacred blood creatures could unlock up to 8 gene locks, though finding such creatures was quite difficult. Although Hansen ran fast, the beam of lava was too wide and it managed to just about singe his clothing. Fortunately, he was not dealt damage, but he felt the heat, and in it, he felt as if he was being roasted alive inside an oven. Because Hansen had a sacred blood iron bug armor and he had many fire geno points, his resistances were high enough for him not to receive any damage. As frightening as the blast of lava was, its spread meant the damage it could inflict was weaker. Hansen quickly fled the scene and ran back to the shelter. The wyvern spat out a fireball, forming a deep hole. Not only the ground and grass were melted, but entire trees and rocks were instantly turned into molten lava. Hansen was happy that the wyvern did not use the fireball in the very beginning because, if it had, he believed himself to most likely be dead now. The wyvern continued roaring, but as suspected, it did not dare approach the shelter. Hansen was extremely grateful for this, and he was much relieved. Looking into his sea of soul, he was delighted. Although he had only absorbed a small amount of the vine's life force, he had managed to obtain 800 water drops. Every drop was worth a whole year of growth, and as such, it was a most mighty reward for his endeavor. With these water drops, I can grow the dragon blood tree and the blood pine. Hansen, waving at the wyvern, descended back down into the shelter. Heading back to the Alliance, Hansen returned to St. Hall. He was going to buy his first Surpasser Hyper Geno art. The first one Hansen selected was called Water Thunder. It was created by a human fighter, and judging from the name, Hansen was able to determine it combined the forces of the water element and thunder element. The extent of the ability's power obviously rested in the handler's proficiency with both elements. He also couldn't help but shake his head at the name Water Thunder. He thought its weak and terrible name betrayed the great strength the ability possessed, and he was correct. You could use water to trigger lightning strike, and if an opponent had water on them, you could trigger lightning to strike directly where the liquid was applied. The conducting water would allow for the thunder side of the skill to annihilate its targets. It was a very powerful yet complex hyper-geno art. Hansen always loved making use of his yin-yang blast. He loved the sneaky sorts of hyper-geno arts, so he bought this one without hesitation. His learning of the skill came both easy and swiftly, due to his dexterity when handling water and thunder skills. After half a month of learning it, Hansen was able to cast the ability freely. Sanmu, have you heard the rumors of a supremely powerful king spirit? They say he will one day be able to open the 10th gene lock. Shuming's tone drifted between whisper and near shouting, in an attempt to convey his dialogue with a mystical twang. What's the spirit's name? Hansen thought what he said was familiar. He calls himself the king. Fairly obnoxious, right? Hansen then remembered that's what he had chosen to call himself, but this was strange. He wondered how humans had come to learn of his existence. What else do you know about this king? Hansen asked curiously. Well, I've heard he's very powerful and has quite the reputation. Some humans have overheard spirits talking about him a lot, and that he is somewhat of an idol. Many men want to become his student, and many women want nothing more than to have sex with him. Hearing such praise, Hansen felt pretty smug and happy with himself. Okay, go on. What else do they say about him? Hansen was expecting to hear more words of praise, but things quickly went the other way. But I have heard that the king is also rather weird, and his reputation is not all swell. In fact, many king spirits and even emperors are on the hunt for him. They greatly desire to unearth his true identity and place of residence, so that when they do, they can murder him. Hansen was shocked upon hearing this, and he now knew for sure that he could never expose himself as the king while he was in the sanctuaries. Tu Ming lowered his voice and then went on by saying, I don't think the king has a penis either. Why would so many female spirits be falling head over heels for him, and yet he doesn't go frolic with any? I'm telling you, man, this spirit is either a eunuch or he's gay. Chu Ming, let's not waste any time. Let's practice Flaming Blade together. Hansen forced a smile, but he was thinking of something else in his now wounded heart. A scream erupted from the shelter, a scream that came from Chu Ming. Strangely, it had now been a while since the shelter teleported to the edge of Thorn Forest. They were running low on food, and they lacked opportunities to hunt. Every morning, the first thing Hansen did was to exit the shelter and get a good look at their surroundings. Each time, he was disappointed. On this day, he saw a shadow approach the shelter. He was shocked. The barbed bushes that encircled the tree shook until something emerged. When Hansen laid his eyes on the beast before him, he started to immediately sweat bullets. A metal dinosaur composed of what seemed to be blue steel is what came out from the obscuring thickets of the trees. The suffocating feelings of dread were a direct cause of its approach. As sweat descended his forehead, the dinosaur laid eyes on him and drew closer. It stepped directly into the shelter's surrounding, where other creatures always feared to go. Hansen quickly turned around and tried his hardest to return inside the tree. He had encountered many powerful creatures before, but this one was in another league. Bold as brass, the metallic dinosaur lurched forwards, step by step. As Hansen started running, he heard a boom. The dinosaur leapt a great distance and landed in front of him, leaving two crater-like footprints in the soil. Its speed was incredible. Just as Hansen moved, the dinosaur opened its mouth, and then a horrible power came into contact with his back, one that pulled him back down to the ground. Fortunately, the dinosaur only took hold of Hansen's armor. The creature did not injure him. Strangely, it did not hurt Hansen. All it did was pull him back and keep him close. Is this thing playing a game with me? Will it devour me when it gets tired? Hansen tried his hardest to run away and escape, but every time he did, the dinosaur stayed his flight. Getting pulled back over and over again, the dinosaur seemed to be getting annoyed. It grabbed Hansen and did not let him go this time. This is what you wanted, isn't it? Take it, it's all yours. Its eyes were fixed on the bone. Hansen thought to himself, its intelligence is very low indeed. Doesn't it have a brain in that thick skull? But then another thought struck Hansen. Maybe that's a good thing. Perhaps because it's dumb, it'll be easier to control. I learnt my lesson with the fairy. I could never properly control her, and that was because she was too smart. What should I call you? Wang Kai, maybe? Hansen smiled and picked up the bone, continuing to say, Wang Kai, it is only a bone. Come here or I'll eat it. Hansen pretended to bite the bone, but it did not incite the reaction he hoped to receive. The dinosaur remained where it was, unmoving. Hansen started to harbor doubts over his initial belief that it'd be easy to command the creature. It was not only dumb, but a scaredy cat also. Oh yeah, it tastes so good. Wang Kai, get over here. It's as safe as this thing is succulent. Hansen smiled at the dinosaur as he spoke. The dinosaur, seeing Hansen lick the bone, carefully came forward. The dinosaur opened its mouth and bit on the bone. Hey, don't eat it all, save me some. Hansen didn't want the dinosaur to consume the whole bone at once, as he needed some of it to lure and teach the creature. The blue dinosaur cared little for the command, though. It merrily chomped away at the bone until it was down its throat, not saving any for Hansen. As Hansen's heart sunk, the dinosaur roared to the sky in delight of its meal. Blue fire spewed out of its mouth like a geyser, which then fell down to wrap Beast up in a blanket of blue flame. A second later, it was entirely enveloped in a scorching blue bonfire. The heat was intense, and the brightness was too much. Hansen couldn't even open his eyes to get a good look at what was happening. Feeling the power in those flames, he made sure to cast his Dongxuan aura to inspect it. All he could see, however, was a blur. Fortunately, the blue spectacle did not last for long. Soon after, the flames subsided, and as the ribbons of fire shrunk, so too did the dinosaur. When the flames were only a meter high, the dinosaur had grown too small for Hansen to see. Did the bone make him grow smaller? Hansen looked at the solemn blue flame, wondering what happened to the dinosaur. The flame now faded as well. When it was 20 centimeters high, he spotted a blue metal ball as the source of the fire. Did it evolve, maybe? He wasn't sure whether or not the dinosaur was a super creature, as he had never seen a super creature evolve before. Wang Kai, are you in there, buddy? Hansen squatted down to ask the ball, but he received no response. Picking up the egg, Hansen tried to give it a squeeze and feel if there was something in there. He couldn't discern what the item was, he couldn't feel the beat of a heart, and his Dong Xuan aura only presented him a blurry image. I guess I should keep it for now. It'll be pretty cool if it is actually a super creature. Hansen stroked the egg and then said to it, Wang Kai, you better come out of this thing soon, okay? I need to put you to work. I need you to help me kill creatures. Don't be lazy. Hansen entered the second spirit base and drove his island to the nearest island he could see. He was unranked there, so he did not care who he opposed. Freely, he challenged the first he was able to. Hansen was naturally better than king spirits, so it did not matter who he challenged. There was nothing for him to be afraid of. Are you the king? The spirit, seeing Hansen approach, stood where he was as a frightened grimace fell across his face. Yes, I am. You have heard of me then. Hansen did not immediately begin a battle and decided to talk to the spirit first. Of course, everyone knows who you are. I admire you a great deal. The spirit, like before, did not want to fight. Graciously, he offered Hansen a spirit gene. Unfortunately for Hansen, it was a fire element gene. He had already maxed this statistic out, so there was no need for him to kill the spirit. When Hansen declined the gene he was offered, the spirit looked very disappointed. Soon after, Heavenly Empress learnt of the king's arrival in the second spirit base. That was quick, he has already opened his second gene lock. The King of Truth frowned. The king is very talented, you cannot deny that. He has perfect genes, ones befitting an emperor, Flower Empress said. If anyone is able to beat him, there is only one person I can think of. He resides in the second spirit base too, Heavenly Empress said. You mean Phoenix King? The King of Day's eyes suddenly turned white as he looked at Heavenly Empress. Phoenix King's personality is so strange though. He is always alone, and he is tremendously difficult to talk to, Flower Empress commented. I know him well. Perhaps I can convince him to challenge the king. Heavenly Empress was confident in his abilities. That is great news. With Phoenix King around, the king is dead. God, I wish I knew where that conniving spirit stone is. I'd crush it beneath my boots. The King of Day said spitefully. He hated Hansen. Hansen had taken one of his king spirit genes and kissed the girl he had long had a crush on. I will open my second gene lock and consult Phoenix King about these matters. What will you all do? Heavenly Empress inquired. I'm going to watch him get killed, the King of Day said. Me too, Flower Empress concurred. The King of Truth merely shook his head, saying, I can't open my second gene lock, so I will not come. Then let us return and practice. I will invite Phoenix King to come over. Heavenly Empress stood up. Then she approached Flower Empress and said, Let's go together, and it'll help if I can receive some flower liquid off you. Thank you for watching. Subscribe and enable notifications so you don't miss the next chapter.